Hello and welcome to Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm your host, Ryan, and joining me as always is Daddy Perino. How you doing, man?
Oh, Ryan, not great. I've been very ill. That's the truth of the matter. My voice is kind of shot, my spirits are down low, but my morale is high because we're doing the Rocket League podcast. It is so good to have you back on the show. I get all the pressure taken off of me from being the host. It's glorious.
The
glorious,
host,
glorious.
the editor, all that jazz.
It's a lot of work, as it turns out.
Yeah, it is. But no, man, I'm happy to be back. I miss doing the show. But we thank Squid so much for filling in while I was out and stuff. Baby is here. He is healthy. He is happy. Mom is here as well. I'm here. No, he's
whole family. So
he's been a good kid though. He's been really chill for the most part. He sleeps like a brick. So it's nice because we don't have to worry about like any sounds just waking him up. But then it's also hard because sometimes it's like, all right, it's time to eat, and we can't wake the kid up, and it's kind of scary sometimes. You're like, did he die? I'm doing this whole parenting thing terrible. My kid just died in his sleep.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate, but
Yeah.
glad to hear that it's all been good over there. Ryan and I have been keeping in touch, over the course of the past couple of weeks, but
Yeah.
it's a busy and very dramatic change. So I'm glad that you can set aside the time and that the young man Bentley, future RLCS champion, goated on the sticks, peaking right now as we speak. He's not going to interrupt. That's good.
Yeah. But no, I'm happy to be back. It was a good little bit of time off though to, kind of be with family. I had time off work too. But I am back, so let's get this show on the road. Guys, welcome to Around the Scene. We are here every Thursday for you to get your fix on all things Rocket League. If you like this, be sure to go follow, subscribe, do all those things on YouTube, Spotify, your podcast service of choice, whatever it may be. And then also be sure, if you want to join in on the show, join us on Twitter. That is at PWR_leagues. Be sure to follow us, drop us comments, anything like that. Any topics that you drop for us, we will consider wholeheartedly on putting into the show. But with that said, Perino, we have technically three items on our news report today. Are you ready to get into it?
Yes, sir. It was kind of funny because we were drawing up the show notes and we looked. Again, this is taking 2 weeks, mind you. We've been off the air for a week. And we looked, and it's like, there's exactly, like, 2 things really worth talking about. And one of them just dropped today.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky in that sense.
Yeah, it's definitely weird, with how close. But the thing is, too, is, like, with how close RLCS is now, it's tough for anything to really be coming out because it's like, there's not going to be any new events really getting announced because RLCS is so close. And then, just really not a whole lot going on at the moment. It's that weird dead area where it's like some great stuff is about to happen, but nothing great has quite hit just yet. But we did get a set of wonderful news, so let's jump right on into it. Our first news item, the RLCS esports shop decals for 34 teams are going to be dropping on October 5th. So that is super exciting. It is going to be the home decals. Then later on, they will be swapping or adding in the away decals or swapping them. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think they're too specific on that, on how that part's going to work. But 34 teams, that includes some OCE teams and South American teams now as well. So it has expanded dramatically. We have more teams for Europe, more teams for North America. And, if you go on RL Esports website, you can see all the names. But I'm just going to do a quick run through so you guys know as well. So the teams who are all going to have decals dropped on October 5th are Dignitas, Endpoint, Envy, E-United, Evil Geniuses. We'll talk about them in a little bit. FaZe Clan, Furia, G2 Esports, Ghost Gaming, Giants, Ground Zero Gaming, Guild, Carmine Corp, Energy, Pittsburgh Knights, PWR, not affiliated with us. We'll talk about them as well. Pittsburgh Knights, Rebellion, Renegades, Rix.GG, Rogue, Semper Esports, SK Gaming, Solari, Space Station Gaming, Susquehanna Sonics, Team BDS, Team Liquid, Team Queso, Team Singularity, Team Vitality. We have a lot of teams. Torrent, True Neutral, Version 1, and Xset are all going to be a part of the esports shop. So that's super exciting to see all these guys. And some of the decals just look out of this world. Like, some of them also just look like straight up improvements over their current decals.
Yes, so I, again, was blessed to be working from home today, and I saw this pop up on my Twitter timeline, and I had a sad moment where I'm like, I need to get like things done at work, but I want to see all of these beautiful decals. So I was patient, I waited, finished my work day, and the first thing I did was I checked out the article and looked at all the new decals. My favorite thing about the esport is the decals. I love the artistry. I love the representation that goes into designing these decals. Everything about this is amazing. And so there's a couple of things. So this is only, if you can believe it, the first half, really, of the decals release, because this is just the home set for all of these teams. The away set will be dropping later on, they said, some point later this year, which is crazy because already some of the decals in there are exceptional. Like the NRG redesign, incredible. There's a couple of really nice ones in there. You know, we can go through and look maybe a little bit, but I'm so happy. Like, as much as it pains me that I work for a living, thank God, because I get paid on Friday, and let's just say, if anybody has a creator code that they feel like sharing with a friend, we don't have code around the scene just yet, but if anybody has a creator code that want to recommend to me, tell me now, because I need to load that thing in there. I'm going to be splashing some cash on some of these decals.
Yeah, I
the
think
new
everybody
NV
is.
decals? The new NV decals
Right?
are so much better. They're so much
The
better.
Rogue decal looks crazy good.
There's a lot of really good ones in there.
Yeah, I'm so stoked, and I think everybody is about to have their wallets just shatter.
Mine is. Yep.
Yeah, but it is very cool to see some of these teams. It's cool to see some of the South American teams and OCE teams finally coming in, getting some of their decals. You know, like a Renegades decal. That's not one I was expecting to be able to see anytime soon, but it looks great. Torrent is one that looks fantastic.
Furia from South America has a great looking decal.
The FaZe Clan decal is about what I expected it would be. So it's super exciting. I'm stoked to get in on all these. Out of curiosity, out of all the ones who, you know, have already had decals in game, who do you think has had the most improved look to their decal?
Energy.
Big ask. Really? I don't feel like this is that different.
Well, okay, so the thing is, Energy is on their third now, right? So they had the original Energy decal, the redesign, and now the home decal for Energy. The original Energy decal was great. I guess the current version of it, well, I don't know, version 2?
Yeah.
Not version 1, who, by the way, has an excellent decal. The version 1 decals, amazing, by the way. But the second iteration of the NRG decal, I don't think is that great. I think it's a little bit lazy. I think the redesign that they got in particular was probably the best, like, point A to point B improvement. You know, looking at them all, it's kind of hard to say. But that's the one that really stands out to me, is the new NRG decal. I'm a sucker for black and white. I know some people say that's cliche, but I'm a real sucker for black and white.
Yeah, I can see that. A lot of people, I think, are, you know, into the black and white color schemes. For me, I feel like
E United would be another one. Sorry,
I feel like one that is a huge improvement to me is Ghost, because Ghost hasn't had like their decal has been the same for so long. But theirs now has like a digital gradient looking thing coming in from the back. It looks really good. And then I mean, I know it's a little bit biased because we did work for Envy and everything, but I also love their new decal a lot as well. I love the, kind of blue at the front. I wasn't really as big a fan of, like, that camo look. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But if I had to say who I think has made, like, the biggest change and I think it looks the best, probably Space Station. Because theirs is really neat because it goes to, like, it goes from, like, having all this stuff to a very, like, kind of minimalistic look, but it looks so good. And it's, like, all black.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Knights are another one too that went and toned it down just a touch.
Yeah. I think toning it down in a way like they did just looks so good. And then you have others who, like, are like Rogue, who went from, like, nothing to, like, a much bigger design. But, I mean, again, it still looks really good.
I have to say, like, of the group, I don't really think there's a bad-looking car in there.
I don't think so either. I think Sonic's is probably the one I'm the least impressed with because it looks the exact same to me as what they just had.
So the Sonics one I think is a bit deceiving because, as you said, it's very similar. Like, the Sonics have a very clean decal, and the current one, I think those pictures of it don't do it justice.
Yeah.
How much blue they added, especially like when you see the Fennec and I think the backtail of the Octane in particular. Those are the two I think you'll really see the difference on the Sonics.
Okay.
That picture doesn't do it justice, I don't think. But yeah, like, I mean, I'm looking at them all now. I have it up. Again, I'm sucker for black and white, but the true neutral with that grayscale added in there too, so good, so good.
Yeah.
And version 1, of course, who I mentioned earlier, but the purple and black, and they've got, it's like, it's not so much that it's crazy, but I love they have, like, the like the black matte finish, and then they add in, like, the purple with, like, the digital camo and the vibrance.
Yeah.
Like, it really makes it pop, but in, like, a good looking way. The only one I think might have taken a step down was Vitality, and that's the one at the very end here. Only because the original Vitality decals are probably the nicest looking of, like, the original group.
True.
And so it's hard to like beat that in any way. I just think so many of the teams go with, like, the it's like the black and gold, like there's so many
and
black
that's the
and
thing
golds.
too that's going to be interesting is because these are also the home kits, so you gotta think they're gonna, like, change up the color scheme dramatically for the away kits. So it's like, Vitality here, they've got, the black and yellow look, with yellow being sort of the primary. They may, like, alternate those, or they could switch to, like, white or something. I don't know. I'm really curious to see how the away kits look in comparison to these, because I think it's just gonna look so freaking cool.
I see a lot of like dark colors in this one. So
Yeah, exactly. You have to assume it's gonna be lighter.
I'm assuming the away kits, are gonna have lighter color schemes. Some of those will look really good. I think low key, again, depending on what they do, I think the away Envy decal could be really, really good. I think if they change the black and switch it to the white, basically do it inverted.
Yeah, keep, like, that blue
Take my
gradient
money.
at the
Take
front.
my money.
Oh yeah.
Take my money. Yep.
But no, this is such a huge step up in so many ways for the RL esports shop. I still think that there are a lot of things that they can improve on, honestly. I think that there's more things that they could do with the shop, but I do like what they did here. I kind of wish that they would bring back some of the I wish they would bring back, like, better wheel designs. Like they had there were two that they had before whenever they first kicked off the esports shop that I really loved, and I think a lot of people really enjoyed them as well, were, like, the Apex wheels and the Usurper wheels. Those were two really nice looking ones that's, like, they don't have anymore, unless you got them back in the day. You don't have those anymore, and it's like, I kind of wish they would start adding, like, the decals are all great. This is about where they need to be, I think. This is with player input and everything as well, so it's a really good step forward, because the players on the team themselves are helping design the cars, so it looks great. It's something the players will hopefully be wanting to, rep actually in their games, so you actually get full teams using their team decal. And hopefully that leads to us eventually doing, like, actual home and away colors and stuff like that, which I think would be fantastic. Because we do that for Collegiate Rocket League, for CRL over at the College Carball Association. We do home and away colors, and it looks fantastic. And I wish so badly we'd be able to see that on the RLCS broadcast. So hopefully this is one of those things that kind of leads us towards that. Not hold my breath out, but it's just a thought. Honestly, still super excited. This is a nice refresh for the RL Esports shop in quite some time.
Yeah, very much needed. Personally, one of the biggest things that I have been waiting for this season. So there's, again, as much as we're getting right now, a couple of other good pieces of news. One, this is not all of the teams. So they're going to be adding more teams yet. And there's a couple of names that we have listed here that we may not have talked about just yet, or maybe not talked about enough. But so they're going to be adding more teams as the season goes on. And the addition of the away kits as well for all of the teams. So even if your favorite team came up with a decal that you're not too crazy about, like, don't worry, there's another set coming soon.
There will be more.
Yeah. So great first step, I think, before our season launches. See, we're not calling it season 11. They said the 2021-2022 season. It's just RLCS.
It's just RLCS now. Which I'm kind of glad, because I feel like it would have gotten annoying to keep saying like the number afterwards. I kind of like they ended it with X, and now it's just because that's how it is in traditional sports. Is you don't say it's only until you get to like the Super Bowl that you actually say like the number, but you don't say that for the season of NFL. So I kind of like that too. That we're changing how we're addressing each season, especially now that it feels like it's closer to a year-round ordeal rather than just a half a year thing, take a break another half of the year like we used to do. So I'm happy with it. I can't wait to see what other teams they add. One thing I am curious about is, and I wish that they would share this with us, is how does a team qualify to put their esports decal in game? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, we don't really know the parameters for making that decision.
Yeah, and,
obviously,
and that's just one of the things that I'm curious about. Because you can't just say like, I mean, I guess you could just say anybody who has a team in RLCS, if you're an esports org, you can go get a decal made, but I don't know. That just doesn't feel like that's what they would actually do, though. Like, teams like, Team Accelerate, that new one for the search, KC Pioneers, RBG. Those are like 3 North American orgs that's like, I expect that they might have a chance at getting their own decal later on, but I'm not sure if it's like they fall outside the parameters that qualifies them for it or what that may be. I kind of wish they would just share that, because then it's like if you don't see your team, you could then understand maybe why they're not they don't qualify inside the parameters or something like that. That's like really my only thing, is I'm just kind of curious how they determine like who gets in and who doesn't. Cause like,
hard to really say.
Because like Evil Geniuses and PWR, those are 2 new organizations who haven't even announced their rosters yet. So are they picking up prevalent players that qualifies them to have a decal? I don't know, but I don't understand quite how that decision gets made.
So
go on.
Well, it kind of transitions nicely into our next subject, because there are 2 organizations included in this announcement that don't have teams yet.
3.
One of the. Or 3. Well, sorry. Singularity we kind of know, but
yeah,
admittedly.
Yeah.
The biggest shock of the group, I would say, Evil Geniuses returning.
Yeah,
after a really long time. And it's what's so funny about this one to me is I was just talking to one of my good friends, and he was saying that he was wishing how Evil Geniuses would get back into Rocket League, because he really likes the original EG decal.
Their original decal is so good. There are times I use it just because. There are times I use it just because I'm like, this looks so hot. Like, and it looks really good with the gold RLCS wheels as well. It looks so good with those.
Right, and I'm pretty sure that's why he wears them too, because we all went to Newark together.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a huge comeback. But it's so weird because they get this decal, as you said, and we don't even know who the team is. We don't even know if they're North American. North America would be a good assumption, sure, but we don't even know that much.
Think about a big team that is not listed at the moment.
In NA or EU?
NA. As we're going through the list, there's one team that I was thinking about. I was like, they're not here.
Don't say Alpine because they're rebranding to Torrent. That's
Are
what
they?
that is. Yes.
I thought that was an OCE team. When did they announce that?
They haven't yet. RLCS leaked it for them.
Oh, are you serious?
Kind of, yeah.
What?
I was looking in the... Yeah, well, same thing. I was looking in the... If you pull up the subreddit, I'm going to do it really quickly while we're talking. But if you pull it up, if you go to the thread about the new decals...
Even in there...
yeah.
Even in their Twitter, it says file tour missing. Oh, man, they were trying to do this whole thing, and... Oh, yeah, they just ruined that. That sucks.
Yep.
That sucks.
So Alpine is in there.
I didn't know that they were doing it. I didn't know they were doing an upgrade. Yeah, that was the team I was thinking of. I had no clue that they were doing all that change. That's so terrible. They should have coordinated that better with RL Esports and been like, "Hey, we're going to showcase every single team that's here. If you're gonna like make any announcements, you probably want to do that before we post this."
Yeah, a little bit unlucky there for my boys at Alpine. So
yeah.
that is what that is. But other than that, yeah, I don't really know who they're going to go after because it's not just EG, who, again, we're all high and mighty on, we're going to only get a team that can really compete at the top, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and it makes you kind of wonder.
PWR.
It makes you wonder if Evil Geniuses have maybe kind of rethought that, or if they truly believe that what they're picking up is like a top-notch team, which just feels so hard to believe when you look at all the top players and where they landed team-wise. Like, I can't fathom who's going to be playing for Evil Geniuses that they would be like, this is a championship-winning team. It feels like it's them like changing their attitude almost.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think they kind of have to be. But I don't know. I don't really know.
Yeah.
We'll find out. They said it's next week, along with Team PWR. Not us.
Not affiliated with playing with Rockets.
This is Lachlan's esports org. He's actually, I'm pretty sure he primarily became big off of Fortnite. YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
This is his organization, again, not ours. Also hopping in. Great looking decal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be really fun, but I don't know who they're getting. German Amigos, I think, is the one that really comes to mind when, like, thinking of a team that maybe will be getting different representation. But it's hard to really say.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Gonna be interesting to see who they end up picking up as well. This is an EU org?
I would... I actually don't know. He's Australian, Lachlan. But I don't know.
So maybe OCE then.
I don't know what they do esports wise.
Might be OCE then if he's originally from there. Yeah, that'll be interesting. But yeah, those are all the decals. Those are all the teams. Teasers of who's coming back and who's joining in, and again, their announcements on who they are picking up for their rosters are going to be told next week. The Evil Geniuses one I think is the most interesting because, again, of how they left last time. And when you look at who's available, you're like, do you really have a championship-winning team available to you at the moment? Because I sure as heck don't see them.
Nope, not unless somebody's sold, and you would kind of know about that because
yeah, you would know who's sold based on who's missing.
Right. So
the fact that nobody's missing tells you they didn't sell anything. I don't know. It'll be fascinating to see what happens there, though. But enough of that. Is there anything else you want to add to it before we move on?
Only that my wallet is crying already in the corner.
Yeah, I think all of ours are.
Yep.
Moving on to our next bit of news, though. This is a bit dated, but because we didn't have a chance to discuss it since we took last week off, we are going to bounce back in time a little bit, and we are going to do a recap over the WePlay Esports Invitational for Europe, Middle East, and North America. So we'll start over across the pond, and then we'll end on North America. I don't think I have OBS set up to show it. If you want to start introing it, I can fix it real fast.
Sure. So, great introduction, Ryan. Yes, so we did take last week off. We had a bit of a scheduling issue, and also Perino was not feeling well and couldn't really record an episode kind of issue. So we did take last week off, give Ryan one more week of paternity leave. And over that time, we saw the conclusion of a phenomenal WePlay Esports Invitational. These guys are very new to the Rocket League scene. I think they came out and absolutely crushed it. They had a tremendous cast that flew out to, I believe it was Kiev, to do their studio broadcast. They did one half for Europe and Middle East. The other half for North America. Was a tremendous event. We got to see some of the best teams really duke it out. See who's been grinding, who's been motivated, who's ready to go for the new season, and some teams who are not so much ready to go. So, with that introduction, Ryan, if you could please bring us in, because I'm about to lose my voice.
And transition. Haha, it's not fully fixed, but we have this now. But no, gonna be interesting not interesting, but it was very interesting to see how some of these teams played against each other. Overall, I think the final result is just fascinating because it's not quite the result I think most of us expect. I think a lot of people were expecting this result to be a bit different, myself included. But so we're just going to take a quick run through on it all. So we're going to start at the very top of it all. So Team BDS faced off against Sandrock Gaming, and Sandrock Gaming is one I want to talk about real quick. Sandrock Gaming just go 2 and out here. And Sandrock Gaming have shown that they can compete against a lot of these rosters, but I still just don't believe they are quite there yet. I still think that they have a lot of growing to do before they're really going to be as competitive as I think a lot of us would like for them to be. I'm not saying that they aren't competitive at all, but I think that they still have a ways to go before you really consider them to be close to world championship, top 4, potential. And so I think them being included in our LCS, that is super exciting because they will start getting those opportunities to, grind their teeth against stronger rosters than what they're used to. And we've even seen, like in the Intel Open qualifiers, they struggled against some teams that are in their own region. They almost didn't actually make it to be the representative for the Middle East. So definitely some growth needs to be done there. They lose against Team BDS, then they fall down to losers. They drop against Vodafone Giants. Total, they only take 2 games out of both their sets. So not quite the showing that I think these guys wanted, but they're going to have plenty of opportunities, I believe.
Yeah, and it's kind of a tough draw too because BDS is still probably the best team in the EU, and the Giants, who
They have Atomic,
recently,
Dementia, and VK Salen.
thank you. Yes. Also a really good team. So that's a tough draw for Sandrock. But I think it's a bit of a downer for all of the Sandrock purists out there. I know they exist. I know that they listen. Some people are real big believers in Sandrock. And
Yeah,
I agree with you, Ryan. They're not quite there yet. They're probably the closest of
I think they're definitely the
any of
closest.
the wild card regions, if you want to phrase it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, I would definitely say that they're the closest. I still think that there's a lot of growing they need to do. And now they qualify to be involved in those conversations of, who's going to be going to Worlds or who's going to be going to this event, who's going to be going to this major. And that's where you're going to see teams like them be able to finally start grinding again, cutting their teeth against some of these stronger rosters and really learning a lot. And, it could also just be, their play style. Because, again, each region kind of has their own play style. Could be that their play style just maybe isn't conducive against Europe, but it may be conducive against, OCE, South America, North America. It may be conducive against all the other regions. And Europe is just maybe the one that is a good counter to their style. Who knows? We'll be able to see more as more events happen. Now that we're going to be able to get those. This first round, all in all, though, kind of a wash, honestly, for a lot of these teams. Guild Esports, take it away, 4-0, easy over the Vodafone Giants. Vitality, same thing, an easy 4-0 over Dignitas. Closest match was Carmine Corp versus Semper Esports. That was a 4-2 still, so not really that close, honestly. Winners is about who I probably would have predicted to go through anyway, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward set there for EU, surprisingly. Looking at it in total, I think the favorites won for the most part. So
I would say favorites won until you get about, lower bracket quarters and upper bracket semis. That's where the stories really start to change. So we'll just run through the upper bracket, then we'll drop down to the losers, take a look at things. But the upper bracket, Team BDS, this was one that I think everybody was expecting to take it. I don't think that Team BDS has really fallen off. I think a lot of people were like, oh, this is going to be a team that, they could do really well this season and then fall off the next. I don't think that's going to be the case, especially with these performances we're already seeing from them early on. So Team BDS, 4-0 over Guild. They walk through no problem. And then Team Vitality drop against Carmine Corp, and that's where I think things begin to change because I think a lot of people were expecting that to probably be a Vitality win. And then go to the upper bracket final. Team BDS take it 4-1 to move on to the grand final. That upper bracket run from them, pretty typical, honestly. Even the demanding style in which they walk through the upper bracket is pretty, telling about them as an organization still and, what these players are capable of. Only dropping one game through all of the upper bracket. It's just crazy to me.
Yep. And that was the stat I was just about to bring up. Literally only dropped one game in the upper bracket final.
Yeah.
To the team that would meet them again in the grand final. So, yeah. Pretty typical of BDS. I think Vitality had kind of a rough excuse me, rough showing.
Yeah.
They're a team that I think maybe should have been pushing the envelope there a bit more, but it's hard in Europe. These teams are so leveled out across the top. There's like BDS and it's everyone else. It's just a slugfest.
Yeah.
Who's really on their day? I think a lot of WePlay, and I think this holds true in NA as well. A lot of it I think is just about who's grinding already.
Yeah.
Who's really staying at peak performance as we gear up into the season. So I don't take the results overall like crazy seriously.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's an
shows
invitational, so it's not even truly like who all could be involved. I mean, so yeah, you do have to kind of take the results with a grain of salt to an extent. I would agree.
But yeah, I'm just looking through it. So obviously BDS advanced to the grand final. When you go to the lower side, Dignitas over Guild. Dignitas had a really good run. They would run into Vitality, who beat the Giants, and they kind of throttled Vitality, actually, which I didn't expect. Historically in that matchup, I think Vitality's been pretty good against this team, but again, this is a new look Dignitas with Scrub, so Scrub gets...
Well, and Scrub was... This was, I would say, old Scrub, who was such a dominant force in the RLCS. Like, the way he played there, I would say, is, peak Scrub. Like, this is what we knew he was capable of. This is why he was such a desired individual whenever he first joined the RLCS, when he finally became of age, and why he was such a big deal. And I think to see him back at that level was super exciting, because it really, I think, again, adds to, who can help be up at the top to, take charge against Team BDS. Because, again, Team BDS just walked through their entire region with relative ease this past season. And I think a lot of viewers, I think a lot of, fans would really like to see Team BDS really taken to task this season. And I think that Dignitas, Team Vitality, Carmine Corp, the top three, aside from Team BDS in the top four, I think all are good potential rosters who are going to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely seems to be shaping up that way. Speaking of, so again, what a wonderful transition you give me, Ryan. It's almost as if we've worked together on that for a long time.
We maybe have.
It's quite possible. Dignitas go through, and they end up against the Carmine Corps there. Very thrilling series, this lower bracket final here.
Yeah.
Very back and forth. Last two games, both overtime finishes. And, a new org bounce, I think, for Stake, Itachi, and Astral.
Yeah.
As they just barely get by Dignitas there to go through into the grand final. And what a performance from these guys.
Yeah.
I think this is a roster that can be really good, but this is so typical of EU. It's like they can be really good, but are they consistent enough to get the result?
It's that meme of this team could do a lot of damage.
Yeah. But they did do a lot of damage in this event, actually, because they ended up winning the whole thing.
It's one of the few times it's actually paying out to be true.
Yeah. Yeah, so good for them.
Yeah.
But very, very thrilling lower bracket grand final. And so they get their revenge match against BDS, who took the first best of 7 set. So the way this was done, for the grand final, it was just straight up best of 7 sets. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this. I think it takes forever. I know, like the whole competitive thing, like I get it. It makes sense. Like it's a huge amount of games, so obviously the better team's gonna win or whatever. It takes so long.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure how I feel about best of sets, honestly, and especially in this setup, I still think that it should have been normal double elimination, double reset type thing, because it feels weird to say, hey, you already beat this team, now you have to go beat them 2 more times before you can, walk away. I mean, because if you're really looking at it, if you're keeping score, they technically went 2-2. Team BDS won the first 2 matches, and then Carmine Corp won the second 2, and it's kind of like, okay,
yep.
I mean, I wasn't a fan of this just because I think if this had been a true event, I think Team BDS do come out the winners. If you had just done away with this whole idea of let's do best of sets, which I think they have their place. I think in a Worlds environment, in a Majors environment, I definitely think that they have their place. In a simple event like WePlay, I don't think they really have their place, honestly. I think if you're going to make them have their place, it needs to be like you do it for all the matches, not just the one grand final match where it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So I would agree with you. That's probably my gripe too, because I don't think you truly got who the actual winner was here, just because it went 2-2. And yeah, Carmine Corp come out the winners, and I'm not trying to take that away from them, but it just, again, if you're looking between these two, 4-1, 4-2 in favor of BDS, 4-1, 4-2 in favor of Carmine. You know?
Yeah, it's pretty much dead even. I just think, like, from a pure viewership perspective, it kind of sucks. You have to take basically, a good portion of your day out to watch a grand final.
Yeah.
When you think of like RLCS of seasons past, a grand final match takes at most what, like 2 hours, with a bracket reset. That's like a long grand final.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just nuts. Like,
yeah,
3 best of 7 sets, and it takes forever.
If we were
Imagine
doing,
if these had gone all the way.
Oh, and the thing is, like, if we were doing like league play and they did it kind of like NFL style, where it was like, some teams play on Sunday, some teams play like on Monday, and Thursday and things like that. Then it's like, I could justify like, okay, this week's matchup between version 1 and NRG, and then Envy versus Rogue. Like, those are the only 2 matches that happen that day. That's like, I can kind of get behind that, because it's like, that takes about the same length of time as like an NFL game. But it's like they also had other matches that day, and it's just like, ugh. So I think that's just a lot. I kind of agree with you. And it also makes it to where it's like one game really doesn't mean anything. Unless it's like to determine a set.
Right, and it sucks for the casters too. Imagine having to... I mean, you and I have both done it. We do those long tournament weekends or whatever.
Yeah, it's rough.
Matches go forever. When you get to the end, oh my God, sometimes there's just nothing more than you want than a team to just sweep so you can just get the heck out of there and stop talking.
Yeah.
My voice is currently shot, if you can't tell. Like, once you get to this point, man, as a caster, you're just going like, get me out, get me out. Water. and when when it's going all the way to, a third best of 7, Jesus, man. So,
yeah,
I feel for those guys. It looked like they had fun, though.
Yeah, it looked like it was a fun time there for sure.
I wish I'd be able to go. That would have been sick. Looks like they had a blast.
Yeah. But that concludes Europe. Carmine Corp come out on top. Team BDS take second. Dignitas take third. And Vitality take fourth. All in all, a pretty good top finish, I would say. Was not expecting Dignitas to have quite the rebound they did there.
No. Yeah, I have to say, good tune-up for the start of the season. I think it's already setting some narratives, but it's hard to really say. This is like prior to the season starting. I think a lot of this is just an indication of who's been grinding recently. Yeah, I know those BDS guys are religious practically in the way that they play. So. Not surprising to me that they get that far.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how it all goes.
But
I like the new look dig.
Yeah. So I'm excited for how that's going to develop over in Europe. We'll get more as RLCS starts to get underway. But hopping over to North America's results now for the WePlay Invitational. Team Envy come out on top. That was super exciting. And they had probably the hardest run I think I've ever seen a team have to go through. I don't think I've ever seen a team have to do quite the run that they had.
Yeah, these guys were certainly put up against it. So it starts with they had a really poor showing against FaZe Clan.
Yeah, day one was just trash for them.
And so FaZe won 4-0, and they were playing with a sub too.
Yep.
Illusion wasn't able to play.
Yeah. So they had, I think it was Dapper.
Yep. Who, for the record, had a phenomenal event.
Yeah, he did fantastic.
Yeah, if there's one other narrative, that we could take away from this, that Dap still got it. He looked pretty good playing with FaZe. It was cool to see him, light up against some of the best teams in North America. But yeah, Envy truly had the hardest road.
Yeah.
So they drop immediately to lowers. They had to go through Space Station, G2, FaZe again, NRG, and then Shopify in the final, which is pretty gross.
Yeah. Probably the most
You know-
disgusting run I've ever seen a team have to do, and they did it. And they did it pretty well, honestly. Like, they looked really good, and it's just so crazy because you look at this, and the only team that wasn't, top 7 on here was Sonics. So they took down the number 1 team from last season, number 2 team, number 4 team, and then 6 and 7 as well, I believe, teams. So the only team that they didn't face off that was in the top 7 last season was Rogue. But Rogue without First Killer is kind of sad to watch, honestly.
Yeah, that one was not great. They got throttled by G2 and then by the Sonics. Yeah, that's what happens when you lose probably the most talented player in North America at the moment.
Yeah.
So they're big shoes to fill there.
I think, honestly, my biggest takeaways from this tournament here are Team Envy still showing that, keeping the roster as is, good decision, honestly. Shopify Rebellion, they are here to play. They have learned a lot from last season, and they are going to come into this one guns blazing, I think. I don't think they're going to let as many things slip past them this time. And FaZe Clan, they were great with a sub. They got 4th place with a sub, and arguably a sub that, Dapper, he played out of his mind. He played great, but it still is Dapper, someone who hasn't really been at the highest level in quite some time. So to see them get 4th without their starting roster, pretty phenomenal, honestly. And I think that sets a good precedent of, don't sleep on FaZe going into this next one. That pick up a first with AJ and Illusion is going to be deadly.
Yeah, this was a really, really fun tournament for North America. I was so concerned when Envy got to Shopify in the grand final because that team has been Envy's kryptonite.
Yeah, for so long. I was like, okay, they made it at least to the grand final. Like, I'm happy with this. Like, if it ends here, like, it is what it is. Because, yeah, it feels like Rebellion have always had their number.
The Rebellion just play in a certain way that just... It's like a natural counter.
I don't know what it is either. It's weird.
It is kind of weird, but Envy, they really handled it well. I gotta say, they first best of 7 went to a game 7 on Champions Field, which is never where you want to take a man named Turbo Pulsa, who did Turbo Pulsa things, and put that one to bed. And then second series was pretty straightforward. Won 3 straight games. After going down 1-2, and just like that, good to go. Envy, I think, are still one of the best passing teams in the world when they are clicking.
When they're
Mist is probably the best overall player in North America when he's feeling it. And then you surround him with a mechanical genius in Atomic and a positional genius in Turbo Pulsa, and they just go haywire.
Yeah,
it's they're really fun to watch. And same thing. So this was a team that we knew they wanted to put the hours in to getting better as a group.
Yeah,
I think you're seeing that here.
I think so too.
They've been putting the time in. They've been putting the time in to get good, so to speak. Tune up before the start of a new season. So I think they're motivated. I think they're looking really good. Happy for the boys in blue.
Yeah,
able to again make the gauntlet work and take it to the Rebellion in the final. So it was fun. I enjoyed this one.
I think I will say the team that I was most surprised in their performance was probably Energy. I was a little surprised at how quickly they seemed to just kind of fizzle out in this event. I mean, they did really solid. They took down Sonics 4-1, G2 4-2, and then they dropped 4-1 against Shopify, and they dropped 4-2 against Envy, and it's just like they really didn't seem like they had much of a response to either of them. And so I think Energy really just kind of surprised me in how hard they kind of dropped the ball there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I don't know. Energy, an interesting team like that, though. They sort of, as I think a good way of putting it there, as you said, fizzle out. They have a hard time, I think, keeping it explosive all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sometimes I think they hinge a bit too much on Justin's ability to just make plays out of nothing.
Yeah.
Garrett and Squishy will always be Garrett and Squishy. Justin's really the wild card of that group.
True.
Comparatively.
Yeah.
And so when he's really popping off, you don't really have to do too much other than just watch him do his thing. But if he gets out of sync, can Garrett or Squishy really, take the reins and take over the game? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But finishing third's never a bad result.
Yeah, no, definitely not bad.
I think they still played really well overall. It's just one of those things. Once you get towards like top 3, top 4, it's kind of just like
it's anybody's game at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in this grand final too, I don't really have any qualms with it because if you didn't know better, you would think that this was just a bracket reset into a win for Team Envy. Like this is a victory that's like I think most people can look at it and be like, okay, Team Envy deserved that win,
Yeah, but I had the same issue with this one though. I only watched like well,
because this would have been like a proper double elimination bracket reset grand final. Like this would have been like what you expect for a double elimination event like this.
Right, but
do what?
I remember when this was on though. Like I, got up and I was like, whatever. So I kind of like tuned out, like made a coffee, got lunch, came back to it later. It's just it didn't really. Like I think the best of sets just don't really have like that drama and that narrative, that really make you sit and watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when it's RLCS Grand Final and you get the bracket reset, like glued to the phone or the computer screen or whatever, like can't look away. But this, I was just kind of like,
I think it was one of those ones too where it's like if you saw Rebellion win the first game. Since we've seen this matchup so many times, I think if I had seen Rebellion take the first set, I think I would have written it off as Rebellion's victory. But when I saw that Envy won the first game, I kind of wrote it off as Envy's victory, just because like that's kind of how these two go when they play each other. It's very momentum based for both sides. Once one team gets on a roll, they go on a roll. And the other team has a really hard time ever responding, and that's just how it's gone for both. Every time we've seen these two come against each other, that's always kind of been the general feel of things, I think.
Yeah, you and I have covered plenty of Envy and Shopify or former.
Well, and that's why
KCP,
whenever I saw they were going to the grand finals, I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, Rebellion's like the one team. Like I could see us beating a Space Station. I could see us being a G2, a FaZe Clan, NRG. For some reason, Rebellion always just seems to have Envy's number. And so that was one where I was like, when I saw it was grand finals against them, I was like, ooh, I don't know how this is going to play out.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I'm really glad that they won. It definitely sets a statement, going into it. But as I said for Europe, I'm going to say the same for North America. I think largely this is just an indication of who's been grinding, who's been
putting
really
in the
trying
hours.
To work it out.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. And a team that is putting in the hours, Shopify Rebellion, for sure. Super stoked for those guys and their results here today for this event. And I really can't wait to see, more from them as we go into the next season. Can't wait to see more from Envy, FaZe Clan, the whole group. Definitely going to be an interesting season, I feel, as I think that the competition is going to narrow quite a bit among the top 6, top 7 teams.
Yeah, it's going to be really brutal in North America in particular this season, I think, with just the structure too, only 16 teams per regional event. Like there's so much pressure. There's so much pressure to get in. There's so much pressure to do well. And it's going to be really hard to make a spot for Worlds. So it's I think it was Rizzo who I saw a tweet from like right before, maybe right after, the WePlay stuff. He's like, I'm so glad I'm not competing anymore because it's so cutthroat now.
Yeah.
It's really true though. Like,
it really is.
It's gotten so tight at the top, and yeah, obviously we're really happy that Envy won.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Even
Well,
though we aren't going to be casting for them this upcoming season, I'm still pumped. I mean, just because I'm not casting for them doesn't mean that I'm not going to support them. I was happy that we got to cast them, but I always have loved those guys, and so, I mean, that's still a team that I'm rooting for. I don't see myself changing that anytime soon, honestly.
No, and the thing is, like, you know, they're all such good people. You know, the people we've worked with at Envy.
Yeah.
I had the chance to actually go there to Dallas. You know, I got to meet like Turbo and
Yeah.
you know, all the producers and behind the scenes staff for them. Like, it's all good. You know, with the loss of the grid, like it sucks for a lot of the...
It made sense. Like, whenever I saw that, I was like, yeah, I don't know that we're gonna be casting for them anymore.
Yeah. It just basically it sucks for us only.
I think it just kind of sucks for a lot of you know, casters who are trying to kind of make their mark, because it's like the grid was I don't think it was really as much for the players as it was for the fans and casters who were trying to kind of, like, fans who just want to see their team, and then casters who are trying to make their way up and do bigger events and have that chance to cast pro level things. I think that was the one thing that I think did well for them. But, you know, it is what it is. Whenever they explained the decision, it was one that I was like, yep, that's rational. I can understand that. You know, it makes sense. Logistically, that was a lot of games that players are having to go through. You know, they finish up Monday for an event, and then they've immediately they finish up, like, the grid by, you know, Wednesday or Thursday, and then immediately they have to jump into an event on Thursday or Friday for the next, you know, regional or major or what have you. So I understand. I thought that was a proper decision. It was one I kind of saw coming anyway. But, yeah, it is what it is. Still happy for everybody who, you know, performed in the WePlay for both Europe and North America. I think it was great showings from everybody. And a nice, you know, preview into what we're going to see in RLCS. And I cannot wait. It can't get started soon enough. Until then, I'll have to settle for esports decals.
Yeah, my wallet's not ready to settle for esports decals, but I'm looking at the time, Ryan, and I can't believe it. We went into the show today at the start, and I think I even said at the beginning of the show, I was like, man, we only have 2 items. Like, are we really going to be able to take it all the way to an hour? And there never should ever be a doubt with the 2 of us, ever.
Yeah.
Even when I'm not feeling well, I can barely speak. My voice is so shot at the moment. I've been muting and coughing, so I apologize. But even despite all of the odds stacked against us, here we are.
We did it.
Just pretty much right at the end of the road. Yep. Right on the money.
Oh, but man, guys, it has been our pleasure to serve you. We thank you so much for joining us here this evening on Around the Scene. This was episode 10 for season 2. What up? 10 episodes in.
There we go.
Can't believe we're already at 10 episodes. You know, gonna keep it going though, because this still is a lot of fun for both of us. And we like bringing all this to you guys. We hope that you enjoy it all as well. Hope that you can forgive us for our break last week. But again, you guys can follow us. You can follow me at PWR_Ryan. You can follow him at Perino TV. You can follow our group Twitter
Show
at PWR_leagues, at whatever the hell we want to call it at this point. You can follow us all on those places. But Perino, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up the show?
Even if I did, I don't think I can. My voice is out. Hate to say it. I'm done.
Perino is shot.
He's
on his last tire.
Time to go. It's not COVID. Don't worry. I have a negative test, people. It's not COVID, but it's something else. I am getting it checked out.
He will survive.
I guarantee you that, and I'll be back next week. I guarantee you that.
But guys, thank you again so much. It was a pleasure to have you with us. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you guys next time. Peace out.